Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Velasquez, Health Officer for Spokane County. And as you may be aware, Memorial Day is right around the corner. And that typically means that lots of people are looking for water. Okay? And I don't mean water to drink, I mean water to have fun with. But May is National Water Safety Month, so we thought it would be important to use this time to share with you some information that is important as we all try to enjoy the wonderful bodies of water and pools that we have in Eastern Washington and Spokane County. As you know, we have about 950 high lakes in Eastern Washington, over up around 400 plus pools and other water sources that are available to the public. So we thought it would be important to invite two of our experts, which I did. I'll take credit for that. Actually, it wasn't me. But we have, first of all, to my right, SRHD's Fatality Review and Prevention Coordinator, Mia Parker, whom you've met before. And to my left, we have Living Environment Technical Advisor, Sandy Phillips. So between the two of them, they cover the full range of water and water safety issues that we want to share with you. So thank you for coming today. Now, as I mentioned, it's May, it's kind of the beginning of the summer, so we're all thinking about it, so it's a good time to talk about what is it that we should all be aware of. So I want to turn to Mia and say, so Memorial Day is around the corner, lake season is going to be here soon. What should we be thinking about?
Yeah, well, we really like the community to be thinking about water safety during this time because, like you mentioned, the weather's heating up. Many of us start spending more time around water, and we have so many opportunities to have fun near water in our community. Water is a really powerful source of connection, and it also requires our respect. Drowning remains a significant issue in our community for children and adults. And so we're really here to talk about how we can prevent drownings and emphasize things we can all do to stay safe while enjoying our time in and around water.
Wonderful. So you mentioned drowning, and when we say drowning, everybody has this picture in their mind, like in the movies, like, oh, but actually that's not necessarily the case. And I think I'm going to turn over to Sandy and ask her, so does drowning look like drowning like we see in the movies, or in real life it's a little bit different?
No, not usually. Yeah, drowning is really quick and it's silent. It can happen in as little as 30 seconds. And usually if the person has taken on some water, they're not able to make any sound at all. So really what you'll typically see is somebody just bobbing on the surface. They're trying to get air.
Like this?
Yeah, head back, exactly, just like in the picture there. And so it's really important to recognize that and be aware, what drowning looks like. If you see a video of that, of an active drowning, which I've seen, actually there can be people standing around within feet, not realizing that child is not playing in the water, they're actually struggling and maybe drowning. So I think the story is please, be aware of what drowning actually looks like and be on the lookout for it.
Okay, and as we were talking, I know we were showing a picture, and I'm glad that we showed that because it shows you that the arms are down on the person's head. It's not the movies like have the bodies out of the water and screaming
and calling for help.
That is correct, which basically tells us we need to be aware and mindful of who's around us because it could be quick and it could be quiet. And that's something that we need to remember. So what else what are the safety hazards or issues we should be aware of and that we want to show and tell people today? So who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'll start with that.
Sandy's going to start.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think when we think water safety, we think about pools mostly because a lot of us, maybe swim year round in the annual pools and that. But there's other places like in our homes where there's water, particularly a hazard to younger children. And then there's open water and of course our pools and spas. So open water, which can be lakes or rivers. Of course, we have a river running through our city, so a lot of people are attracted to that. But really, that's where the most common location for drowning deaths in Spokane County is on the river. So in between 2000 and 2024, actually 41% of child drownings were on the river, and 46% of adult drownings were there. So that it's a beautiful resource, great for recreation, but we have to be aware of the hazards, really respect it. And one thing I want to emphasize is this time of year, you know, we've had some days that are actually around 84 degrees
Right.
air temperature, but the water temperature is a lot colder. It's coming, you know, it's snow melt coming off the mountains. There's the hazards like the currents. So that cold water, that can lead to hypothermia very quickly. And when that happens, your muscles don't work. And even if you're a good swimmer, you're going to have trouble, let alone being in a current as well. So there's something called a 50-50-50 rule, and that says that if you're not wearing a life jacket, which is a good thing to wear on the river, you have a 50% chance of making it 50 feet in 50-degree water. And obviously
Okay.
the water there is even colder than that. So yeah, not good odds. So, you know, wear a life jacket, especially when the water is cold and there's current. There can also be undertows. There can be especially in the spring, strainers on the river. That can be trees and things that are submerged or
right.
partially submerged. So whether you're swimming or boating, those can be a hazard. So
We
yeah.
also just want people to be aware that swimming in open water is characteristically different than swimming in pools. A lot of us learn to swim in pools, but then when we start swimming in open water like lakes and rivers, we do have those different things to contend with, like currents and undertow. And so we want to be really mindful of that and know that it's going to be a different experience and approach with caution.
Yeah, one other hazard too that people may not be aware of is a lot of people are taking their boat out now, and through the summer. Yeah, had to put it away for the winter, got to get it out. But you know, if the motor's running, there's carbon monoxide fumes. And so if you're swimming around the end of the boat, there have been cases of drownings, even in, you know, our county, where the person can be overcome by carbon monoxide fumes. And so they kind of pass out, and then they just go under the water, they just disappear and then drown. Something called teak surfing, which is hanging on to the back for boats that have a platform on there. That's hazardous, and that's a real risk from that, let alone, you know, engine propellers and things like that. So, yeah.
So let me, I'm glad you mentioned, and there was a lot of stuff that we talked about, but things that you may not think about. It's sunny outside, the water should be warm. Not right now, not yet. As things melt, it brings stuff with it, so you can have all kinds of things
Debris.
in the water, debris in the water, and there's an undertow and currents. Typically we say, oh, that's only in the ocean. That's not true. So we have to be mindful of that. And the fact that there may be other activities happening around there, including boating or boats coming out. So there's a lot of things to be aware of, whether you are an adult or whether you have children. There's a lot of moving parts that we need to be mindful of that we may not think about, because we just think about the water
Yeah.
and the sun, and everything is beautiful, which it is, but you have to be mindful of that.
We
So, yeah, go
want
ahead.
to talk about water safety hazards in other locations too.
Okay.
Like in the household, one of the reasons why we really emphasize household water safety for young children is because children can drown in as little as 1 inch of water. And so some examples of things to be mindful of in your home are those toilets, buckets, bathtubs. You can prevent household drownings for young children by locking toilets, emptying buckets of water, and this includes large pet bowls, and then making sure your children are always supervised during bath time. Those household drownings aren't just an issue for children though. Among adults in Spokane County during that time period Sandy mentioned earlier, 26% of the adult drowning deaths were in bathtubs specifically. And so regardless of who you are in our community, if you have a chronic health condition, if your family member has a chronic health condition, something like epilepsy that might impact you really suddenly, we really want to encourage supervision during bath time, or choosing other methods of getting clean, like showering rather than taking
Right.
baths. And then just avoid substance use before you're going to be taking a bath as well, like alcohol use. or other substance use, and check in on your family members if they've been in the bath too long.
Glad you mentioned that because we tend to forget that children, particularly small children, don't need an ocean or lake to drown. They can drown in something that you will ignore for the most part. And bathtubs, hot tubs, swim spas, all of those places with lots of water, make sure they're covered, sealed, make sure children don't get access to it. And if you have as you mentioned, someone with a condition that may impact their ability to either respond or to move, be mindful of that as we go forward. So for the average community member, what else do you want them to know about to be able to prevent future drowning? Some people are going like, well, I don't have a boat, I don't have a pool, I don't go to the lake, but we all can do something. What can that be? What would you like to tell folks to think about?
Well, there's a couple other just things we wanted to talk
Okay.
about, like with pools and spas.
Yeah, so with pools, that is a real risk, particularly with children under 5. Getting into the pool and nobody seeing them. So barriers are the number one preventative, method to keep children out of the pool. A lot of residences don't have a 4-sided barrier like a commercial pool would, so only the 3-sided fencing. So if you have that, you should also have an alarm where if the child goes in the water, there'll be an alarm set off. If you're not near there, you'll hear it and be able to go rescue them. There's some other things to just make it not attractive to them. Don't leave pool toys in the water, that they might want to try and grab and get out, They're usually very colorful and attractive. Don't leave things outside the fence either that will allow them to climb into the pool. So those are some of the things that you can do to make your pool safe. Also have emergency equipment available, like a throw ring that you can, or a reaching pole that you can use. Commercial pools are required to have that, but residential pools should have that also, and they are actually more likely to need to use that.
And if you have a cover, keep it locked.
Right, yeah. And covers, yeah. Preferably, if you do have a cover, have an ASTM cover, which you can actually walk on top
Right.
of. The other covers, pets can get in under them and drown, as well as children. So
Yeah, there's some that you can actually put
good
up
ways.
to like 2,000 pounds of
Exactly,
pressure
yeah.
on top. So if you have one of those, that is really great. And if you have a pool and you're not going to be around, make sure it's covered and locked.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. Anything else that you want to add to that?
Yeah,
Leanne?
we have some really great non-immersion water recreation opportunities in our community, like splash pads. And these were designed to lower drowning risks, so they're a great opportunity to just cool off, have some fun in the water. But supervision is still critical. So even though drowning risk is lower at splash pad or at your home when you're using things like slip-and slides, you really do need to supervise your children and make sure you're cleaning up if you're using those slip-and slides or sprinkler water recreation opportunities at home after your kids are done playing with them.
Got it.
And we've been talking just about kind of some threads in drowning prevention, so I want to weave those together and talk about how we really want to encourage community members to layer ourselves and our children in protection to prevent drowning. So this means having those barriers and alarms, things like fences. You can also add alarms to fences or to pool covers. It also means supervision. One thing we really want to encourage people to do is designate a water watcher whenever children are playing in or around water. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. The next layer of protection is water competency, or learning how to swim at any age. As children, infants, or adults, we can all build our water competency. And then life jackets is the next layer of protection. Finally, emergency preparation is the final layer of protection that we want for ourselves and our children. And that means having a phone ready to call 911 whenever you're playing in or around water, and learning CPR skills if you can. We do have some free classes that teach CPR at fire stations in our community, and that's a great thing to do, especially if you have children. We also just want to encourage some general safety rules whenever people are playing in or around water. This includes buddying up, so not being alone when you're near the water, suiting up with that life jacket, knowing your limits, knowing the water, keeping an eye out, practicing that supervision, and throwing that life-saving device like a ring, rather than going into water to save someone who's drowning if that's needed.
Yeah, because they can panic and they can pull, you under as well, and you could end up being a victim also.
Right. So, a couple of things that you mentioned that I want to get back to. Learn how to swim. You don't have to be a professional. You can train for the Olympics if you want. But we do know that a large percentage of the population nowadays doesn't really know how to swim. And if you're going to get on a boat, we're going to talk about life jackets in a second, but learning to swim, the basics of swimming, for not just only to enjoy, but also so you can prevent accidental drowning will be important. And we talk about life jackets, and I see tens of thousands of styles. What do you look for when you're looking for one for yourself or for kids? And I see that's some smaller ones here. What should we be looking for?
Yes, so the biggest thing to look for with life jackets is a snug fit. You don't want your life jacket to be too big, because then that means if you need it to save your life when you're in the water or your child's life, it might not be protective enough.
Yeah.
If it's going up above the ears, that means the water could go up to the mouth.
It becomes
and
a
nose.
hindrance, not a protection. Got it.
So an easy fit check is when you put your life jacket on, or your child's life jacket on, you can pull it up by the straps, and if it lifts up past the ears, it's too big.
Got it.
And you can adjust the straps to make it a little smaller, or you might need to go to a smaller size. And then we also just want to look for U.S. Coast Guard approval.
Yeah, not all life jackets are.
Yeah.
And that will be in the label, right?
Yes, look
Typically,
inside.
you have to look inside.
It'll also give you size information,
Got
so
it.
often chest size and weight size as well. And for the young children, you want to have a strap between the legs, helps to stop that life jacket from floating up.
Right.
And then, the support behind the head, which will help keep their head out of the water.
Got it.
Even for adults, depending on the use, there's different types of life jackets. Some are more for sporting, like kayaking. Others might be like out on the ocean. You want more flotation, because if you go in the water, it could be much longer time before you're rescued. So there's a lot of factors to consider.
A lot of factors.
And that tag in the inside of the life jacket will tell you what types of activities it's best for. And I actually wanted to kind of challenge you, Dr. B, and see if you can identify which of these is protective enough
I may have to read the label.
where you can count on it to save a life.
Your
So,
reading glasses.
yeah, well, this one doesn't say anything about Coast Guard. I've never seen this one. I don't even know
Those
what
are
this
water
is.
wings.
Water wing. Oh, those are the low winglets? Okay. Interesting. Well, this one says this is not Coast Guard approved life-saving device. So I probably will not like that one. And I'm trying to see if this one is. Do I see it? Can they get better, bigger letters? So, anyway,
Yeah,
so
that one should be.
that one is not
That's
this
an
one.
O'Brien usually used
Yeah,
for
this
water
one
skiing.
has a Coast Guard symbol there, so I would probably go for this one. And I think it matches my outfit better too, but I think this one seems to have all of the safety features that we talked about. So that would be kind of my goal, this
What do
one.
you think about these?
Well,
For children.
these are for children. I think these may be helpful, but I don't know. This without a life jacket is not gonna do much.
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
But this with a life jacket will complement and will be synergistic a little bit.
Yeah, they can float off the
They
arm.
can float off,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
that's
water
good.
wings are actually considered a water toy, not a personal flotation device.
So they're nice to have, but not necessarily
Yeah.
increase your safety. Which
Yeah.
is kind of a nice
Yeah.
thing to have.
If they're just learning to swim, the adult, the parent is right there, helping them, then that's a tool you can use.
Got it.
And then you did a great job of checking the label on these jackets. They look pretty similar, but only the red one is US Coast Guard approved. The blue one is not. So this is the jacket that you can count on to save a life.
Wonderful. So I got a brownie point for that today. Let me mention one thing that you talked about. We do know that many of the accidents that involve adults, young adults, boating, for example, where there's drowning, do have an additional component that you mentioned, which is alcohol. So if you're gonna go and there's gonna be some celebratory component to the event, make sure you have a designated driver. And the only water that mixes well with alcohol is ice cubes. So please be mindful of that because that causes a lot of the accidents that we see. Any last words before we go on to the next thing for next week?
When planning your time around water, make sure you designate a water watcher too. And just like you said, this person needs to be sober. It's one person who has one job: focused supervision of children and inexperienced swimmers who are in and around water. This is really one of the strongest things any of us can do to save a life. A lot of times when we are in a group around water, we kind of assume someone else is supervising. And when we clearly designate a water watcher, especially by giving them a badge, then it's like, okay, this is on me, and I know I will intervene if I notice someone is struggling. And then whenever you need to step away, even just to use the bathroom, you want to pass that off so that someone else is always the water watcher whenever you're not paying attention.
Wonderful.
So where can people get these,
Oh yeah,
Mia?
good question.
Yeah, so we have free water watcher badges that we'll be giving out at community events all across the summer. And SRHD's pool inspection team will also be giving them out at the pool inspections they do.
Don't we have a coupon also for, what, tell me about that.
Yes. So this is really exciting. We have information about life jacket safety, best practices for fit, but on the back of that, we also have a coupon for 20% off new life jackets purchased through Big 5 Sporting Goods, and this is active through October 31st of this year. And so it's a great opportunity to get yourself, your kids, any family members, new life jackets that are the best fit for you in your current body size. You never want a life jacket that's too big, hoping you'll grow into it. You want it to fit you and your kids right now.
Okay.
And we have this coupon every season, or we've partnered up with Big 5 for many, many years.
Wonderful.
So look for that beginning, I think end of April, beginning of May every year.
Okay, so we want to say thank you to our partners. So a lot of information, folks, but we're getting to that time of the year where water becomes the center of attention for a lot of people. So we want to make sure that we can all enjoy it and enjoy the beauty of the area and enjoy the water safely. So with that, I want to say thank you to Sandy and Mia and all of our partners. Go to our website if you have any questions. And with that, we'll say stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day. Thank you.